Nothing beats a cool, fresh glass of homemade kombucha. Want to learn how to make your own kombucha the fast and easy way? I will show you how in this video. You can make your own healthy kombucha in a relatively fast, simple and easy way. All you need is 3 ingredients: a good quality kombucha scorby, green tea and sugar. That's enough to create your base, to which you then add some flavor later. My favorite is fresh ginger and lime, but you can basically use any kind of fruit or spice to give your kombucha a specific taste. Only the sky is the limit. Let's get started. The coolest thing about becoming a prepper is that you try to learn as many skills as possible. Simply holding knowledge is tempting, I know, but it won't help you when faced with obstacles and challenges in the real world. One of the most useful skills to have is to produce your own food. Not only to be able to supply yourself outside a fragile system, but also in order to have something to share and barter with in your local community. Making kombucha is one of those precious skills, and funny enough, not many people make it because they think it is complicated or takes a lot of work. Nothing could be further from the truth. What you need though is a bit of patience, as your first batch will be ready in only about 8 to 10 days after you've started the process. So it involves a lot of waiting, but this is time you can use to do other practical things. Nevertheless, the preparation time is under an hour, so the recipe itself is indeed incredibly fast and easy. 2 things are crucial to guarantee that your kombucha will always turn out perfectly. First, you have to buy a high quality SCOBY, and second, your work utensils need to be nice and clean. Don't be tempted to buy a cheap SCOBY, buy the best one you can get online. You can check their customer reviews beforehand and also determine the strength of the SCOBY by how many liters of kombucha it can produce. Mine, for example, is suitable for up to 5 liters, which is double the amount of what most of the other cheaper brands can produce. When it comes to cleanliness, don't get paranoid. Just disinfect all the tools, jars and bottles you plan to use with boiling water beforehand, and you should be fine. And wash your hands in between often. As a first step, you want to take your SCOBY out of the fridge a day or a few hours before to let it acclimatize to room temperature. To make 4 liters of kombucha, you will need the following ingredients: 1 SCOBY, 4 liters of spring water, 4 tablespoons of organic green tea, and 250 grams of sugar. The first step is to boil the water. I usually boil only half the amount, that is 2 liters, in an electric kettle and pour the hot water into a pot. In there you add the green tea, cover it with a lid and wait for 15 minutes. Then you strain out the tea leaves and dissolve the sugar in the tea. Now you can add 2 more liters of cold spring water on top, giving you the required 4 liters in total. This step is just my trick to make the tea cool down faster to room temperature, so I can add the SCOBY almost instantly. Otherwise you'll have to wait for at least 2 hours until the tea has cooled down enough to not burn the SCOBY. But by boiling only half the required amount at the beginning and adding cold water or even ice cubes later, you can cool down the tea almost instantly. Also, you won't risk breaking your glass jar by pouring boiling hot tea into it. It happened to me before. Once you've verified that the tea has reached room temperature, you can add your SCOBY and nourishing liquid on top. Cover the opening up with a thin cotton cloth and fix it in place with a rubber band. Put the kombucha jar into a dark and quiet area to start its magic. You don't want to touch it until after at least 7 to 8 days have passed. The colder the climate you live in, the longer you will have to wait. After that you can try a small sip to see if it's ready and tastes like kombucha and has a little sparkle to it. Usually I can tell by the smell alone that the kombucha is ready for the next and final step. This is when we add our natural flavoring to it. So you take out the SCOBY and save it in a separate jar where you cover it with a generous amount of the kombucha liquid. This will be your nourishing liquid for the next time when you make a fresh batch of kombucha. You can keep the SCOBY in the fridge for weeks until you're ready to produce your next batch. As I told you before, my favorite kombucha flavor is ginger and lime. To make this, we peel the fresh ginger and chop it into small pieces. Then we press out the lime or lemon juice and your ingredients are ready. What you need to invest in is proper glass bottles with a pressure lid on top, as this is how we naturally create the sparkling bubbles inside the kombucha. Put a little funnel into the bottle openings and pour in 2 teaspoons of sugar, 2 teaspoons of ginger and a dash of lemon juice. You do this with all your bottles, but if you use smaller bottles than me, just reduce the amount of flavoring accordingly. Then you fill up these flavored bottles with your kombucha. But, and this is a big but, make sure you leave enough empty space on top so the developing gas can build up inside without your bottles exploding later. Better leave too much space than too little. Once you have filled up and sealed all bottles properly, you put them into the same dark and quiet spot where your kombucha was resting before. After 24 hours, you open all the lids and let any built-up gas out, just in case. Believe me, if you forget to do this, you may already, after the second day, have so much gas inside that the contents of the bottles will splash out like champagne. And that would be a waste of your precious kombucha. Close up the bottles again and let them rest for another 24 hours. After that, open them and have a first try at your own homemade kombucha. If the taste and sparkle is to your liking, put the bottle straight into the fridge. This will stop the fermentation process and keep your kombucha nice and fresh to enjoy. If you think that it doesn't sparkle enough yet, just wait another day. However, I don't recommend waiting longer than 3 days or your kombucha might taste like vinegar, as all the sugar will be used up in the fermentation process. And there you have it. Delicious homemade kombucha the easy way. Cheers!